Good evening, privates, and welcome to Just for Flicks. I am your general for today's mission, Patty B. Along with me in the foxhole today is my right hand man, Lieutenant B Dog, Mr. Brandon. You okay down there? I think it's
I
safe to
don't
get
even know
up.
how to react to that reaction, man. You just said, "What's up, privates?"
Yeah. That was awesome, Pat. That was awesome.
Um,
I love the theme. I love the theme.
and then
I
you,
wasn't expecting that.
I am doing good, and I am honored to have a good friend of mine on this podcast, good friend of ours. Please welcome back from the podcast. You know him as Big Daddy L from the Pulling These podcast. Please welcome back, Mr. Elmer. Elmer, how's it going?
All right, all right. Good to be back.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me. It's always a good time with you guys. So,
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
fun little draft we got going on.
Yeah. Well, and a little bit more risque than normal, huh? Especially with
Yeah, I want to say this is a interesting genre of movies we're choosing for this draft. I
Well, I
don't
think it
think,
fits perfectly, right? I mean, a draft is normally considered with war, right? So
yeah,
I
yeah,
thought, when in Rome, right? Let's just
yeah,
do our own war movie draft.
yeah.
Mr. B Dog, I think we normally do it on a D20 roll for our draft roll. As we always do for our drafts, we do a snake draft. Since it's the three of us, 1 and 3 is going to get double picks. The third is going to get a double pick right off the first and second round. So um, I have a D20 ready.
And remember, fans, too, this is all war movies. This is anything to deal with war, anything that deals with even conflicts of war. So movies like Good Morning Vietnam, Grave of the Fireflies, Schindler's List can be up on these lists. So, fans, before we even twirl that die, let us know in the comments what some of your favorite war movies.
Yeah. Without further ado, I think Guest gets the first roll. So we're going to go with Elmer. Let's see what your first roll is. Oh,
Three.
dude, it's a
Three.
3.
Three is the magic
Okay.
number. Watch, both of us are going to get 2 and 1. Just one.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not
Mr.
mad
B
at that.
Dog, 14. 7.
So I get to
Ooh.
choose where I go for. You know what? I'm going to go differently this time. I'm going to go number 3. I'm taking back to back.
I'm gonna take number 1.
Number 1. So that leaves Elmer in the number 2 spot.
Number 2.
Number 2.
All right.
Number 2.
That's good. That's good.
So, Pat.
Without further ado, my number 1 pick for, war movies in general is Platoon. It's an Oliver Stone movie with Charlie Sheen, Willem Dafoe, Tom Berenger, John C. McGinley, Johnny Depp, Forrest Whitaker. The list goes on. It's a great movie. I think it's one of the more realistic Vietnam movies, just as far as what went on over there. Pretty brutal as far as friendly fire goes. It's you don't think about those aspects of war and everything. Willem Dafoe's character is great. Feeling good is good enough. Like that's one of the best. That's one of my favorite lines of the movie. But
That's
yeah, no, I think I'm a big Oliver Stone fan. I think he's got a great catalog as far as movies, and I think Platoon is one of his best movies. So I had to take it off the board. I don't know if anyone else was going to pick it, but I just felt like it was the one movie that grabbed me out of this whole genre. But yeah, that's my number 1 pick.
Oh, wow.
So Elmer's number 2.
Okay. I'm going to go with the heavy hitter. I'm going to go Full Metal Jacket.
Ooh.
Stanley Kubrick's classics, starring Matthew Modine.
Dude, Matthew Modine's great, man.
Yeah. Vincent D'Onofrio, fucking awesome.
Yeah.
He was like just there for the first act of the movie, but his performance was so memorable that, that's like one of the things that people first think about when they think about this movie is that performance. Like everything about that movie was just great, top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
The direction, the acting,
Mm-hmm.
perfect war movie. Didn't glamorize it, showed us a real life to it.
And I like how half of it is like training, and half of it's like warfare. You know what I mean? Like you kind
Yeah,
of get
yeah.
both worlds right there. So yeah, that's I like it. No, it's a great movie.
That's a great pick. I'm going with two heavy hitters, one from 2016 and one from 1998.
Okay.
Both World War II movies. One is going to be Hacksaw Ridge. Love this movie. How I pitch it to people is that it's a faith-based film and it's a rated R line of work. And they're like, how is that possible? Just watch the movie. It is a great movie. Probably my favorite role of Andrew Garfield's is Desmond Doss, who is the first conscientious objector to ever win a Medal of Honor, which if you guys don't know what that means, it's pretty much anything that goes against religion they would not do. And for him, it was him not carrying a rifle in a battle.
Yeah.
And won the Medal of Honor by saving over 74 men behind enemy lines. It is a great movie. Vince Vaughn is perfect. I never thought I would see a comedian take as a drill sergeant. Sam Worthington is in this film. There's a lot of good name actors in this film. Hugo Weaving is great. Only for the short time he's in it, he's great in this film. Yeah, it's a recommendation I give to everybody. I think it's a great war film, probably the best Mel Gibson directed film, and I'm going to get a lot of heat for that. Still will say it. Loved it. Second one's going to be Saving Private Ryan. I'm taking it off the board. Tom Hanks, you guys know I'm a big Tom Hanks guy. Saving Private Ryan is just a great movie overall from beginning to end. The D-Day scene is probably the most accurate war scene ever shot by Steven Spielberg. Great part of that film. Of course, I'm not a big Matt Damon fan, so when you see him pop up, hey, and it's like, no, please don't.
Matt Damon.
Can't stand Matt Damon. It's fun to just see all the big name actors too. You have Vin Diesel. People forget he's in this film.
Yep.
Nathan Fillion is in this film. Also, you have
Bryan Cranston.
Bryan Cranston. You also have
Ted Danson.
Yeah, Ted Danson.
Ted
That's what I'm
Danson.
thinking. And Paul Giamatti's in this film as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of people forget all these big name actors. Tom Sizemore, rest in peace, is another great actor in this film. Just overall star-studded, and it does not miss. It's a war movie. Again, it's a very dark war movie. So fans go in with pretty much an open heart that you are going to go into a war movie, not seeing everybody survive. But it's a fun movie to watch from beginning to end. This is one of my favorite Tom Hanks performances. It's Captain Miller. It's just a great movie from beginning to end. And how can you not talk about it without Barry Pepper? Okay, Barry Pepper's in pretty much every war movie you can think of. From that to We Were Soldiers. Okay, you see him on a
Dale Earnhardt.
Yeah.
Played Dale Earnhardt in the movie.
My number 2 pick is going to be Glory.
Yeah, that was one on my list. That's a great movie.
Yes. Starring Matthew Broderick, Mr. Ferris Bueller himself. Great performances by Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, directed by Edward Zwick. I think he direct The Last Samurai also?
Yeah,
right. Yeah. But this movie was great story, great cast. It really showed like what these men were sacrificing back then and how hard it was. Like, I don't know, man. I think I was spoiled, but at the time when I was like growing up and watching movies for the first time, because a lot of these war films I watched growing up were like show me the ugly side of it. So it was never glamorized to me, even when I saw stuff that was like pretty much propaganda, whatever. But they really told the real story and like what these people go through in war, like with their emotions and their backstories were so like Denzel's Washington's, like his whole backstory is pretty much on his back, like those scars he had and whatnot. So, this movie was like so powerful for me watching it growing up.
There's a reason why that he won Best Supporting Actor that year for that role.
Well deserved.
That whole scene, like you said, is one of the most powerful scenes in the whole movie, because you think you just see the tough guy on the exterior, but you don't see is what's on the inside. And at this point, you see him just bring that tear down his cheek. It's like, oh man,
Yeah,
this is grim.
it's
Like,
acting right there.
like
Acting.
I I hate to say it. Like, I watched this as an eighth grader. We watched this because we were learning about the Civil
Oh,
War
wow.
Battle of Antietam, which is the first battle in the movie.
Hmm.
Um, and I remember some of the kids were making fun of the Irish drill sergeant. You know, the way he stood, like sitting there, like he tells them at ease. And
Yeah.
but that movie overall is a great movie. Probably one of my only favorite Morgan Freeman roles too. I enjoyed him for the little amount we had with him in it too. But yeah. All right, Pat, you got back to back.
I got back to back. My number two pick is going to be All Quiet on the Western Front from
Which
2022.
that's what I was just about to ask you.
I think this movie is like beautifully shot. Like just every the cinematography in it is just flawless. The way they capture the emotion between characters. I think you see a lot of characters evolve in this movie. Especially when they're go get 'em kids, they want to fight for the country. They think war is going to be fun, and then it's World War One, obviously. So we know how brutal and how like inhumane that war was, right? I mean, just conditions wise. And you start to see, they start to see the realities of what this war is and what it's become, and they don't really stand a chance. So it's a brutal movie. I love how it's a foreign movie. I think the one big actor that we could all probably pull out of that is Daniel Bruhl, who is in Inglourious Bastards and a few other things. But no, this movie is awesome. I recommend it to a lot of people. I know it's new too, so 2 years old. I believe it was a Netflix original, I think, or it was a Netflix movie when it came out. So that's how I saw it. And no, I was drawn to it because I like World War One. I don't think it's talked about a lot compared to World War Two or Vietnam as far as movies go. Um,
I think World War One was the better war. I'm just
I
saying.
mean,
Hot take.
if you're
That's my
looking,
hot take.
yeah, I don't know. It's cool. I think it was innovative for sure, right? Like a
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
Well, yeah, America was only in the war for 1 year, 1917 and 1918. It was a 4-year war.
Like it was like the first time chemical warfare was really used in combat, right? Like
Trench warfare. This was the
trend.
last
Yeah.
Trench warfare. This was the last time this is the first time we've seen tanks into battle.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was a big thing. And
Machine guns.
Wonder Woman. Okay, Wonder Woman didn't shut up and let's
No man's land.
No man's land. See, I've seen them all movies. All right, Pat. You got another pick to go.
My number three is a personal favorite of mine. It's probably not considered a big war movie, but it's The Patriot.
Oh, Patrick. He took my pick.
What's up?
He took my pick, bro.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm glad
That was like
never
I was
take
like,
that
the
movie seriously.
Patriot.
I could never take that movie seriously. I'm sorry.
and I know Brandon's not a huge fan because it's not historically accurate, but
No.
I like to think, and that's another war that's not talked about in movies. Like
The
it's not,
revolutionary, yeah.
yeah, the Revolutionary
We
War.
get it in Hamilton. Come on now. We get it in
Oh, come on
Stop.
now.
Stop.
It's
Come on now.
yeah, whatever. You're like the biggest fan, Pat. You're more of a fan than I am in that.
I'm a
Oh.
Hamilton fan, but I'm being realistic here now. Okay, come on, putting on my big boy pants. But no, Mel Gibson's great in this movie. Jason Isaac is a complete asshole in
He
this
is.
movie. Yeah, just a complete prick.
There's a
And
reason why he's Malfoy's father, right? He's a
yeah,
big.
right.
Yeah.
He's also Captain Hook, I think.
Oh yeah, he played a version of Captain Hook.
Don't like him.
Chris Cooper, I think, is in this movie. I'm
That's
kind of
good.
spitballing off the top of my head, but Heath Ledger,
But how?
quite another movie he's dying in. That's one part I hate about the movie is how he dies. But
Oh yeah.
spoiler alert.
Yeah, bud. Thanks. No.
It was so stupid.
Yeah, but I just like how I don't know. I like that era of America, like just seeing like what it was back then. You know what I mean, and how this war changed everything. And like I said, you just don't see that in movies. I don't see a lot of movies being made about the Revolutionary War. So, um, it was one when I was a kid. I was always a big Mel Gibson fan because me and my dad used to watch the Lethal Weapon movies all the time. So, uh, but anyway, yeah, my number three, The Patriot, solid movie. Go check it out.
No comment.
All right.
All right, Mr. Elmer, number three.
All right. My third pick is Black Hawk Down.
Gosh darn it, that was gonna be my pick. That was gonna be my next pick.
Yeah, man. Josh Hartnett in that. It was like that was like another movie with like so many freaking cameos there.
Mhm.
And it was the I don't know, it was like I didn't even know we were in Somalia like fighting over there at the time, you know what I mean? Till this movie came out. That was like how ignorant I was like with the geopolitics that were going on in the world. So this movie was like, what are we doing there? What's going on? And like the story behind it.
Mhm.
Even though some like they changed certain things and certain situations for what actually happened and made some characters up also, but besides that, it was like Ridley Scott, like how
Yeah.
how you could
Not
go
like
wrong
you
with
and
that.
McGregor teaching us how to make real coffee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hello there.
You had Tom Hardy, Eric Bana, like it was Tom Sizemore, like
Even
again,
Orlando Bloom was in this movie. There's a lot
yeah,
of names.
Eric Bana. What happened to him, man?
The
yeah,
Hulk. That's what happened to him.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I hated that movie. Yeah, I never liked that movie as a kid.
Once you fight gamma radiated fucking poodles, it's a wrap.
It's over. Yeah,
It's
it's a
over for
wrap.
you.
Done. Just go.
You're like,
Also,
Geek Lab, checked out.
and also Jason Isaacs is also in this movie.
It's a good movie. I'm
Yeah.
glad it made it on. I was if you guys didn't pick it, it was gonna be my next movie to choose. And that's oh man, I hate you, Elmer, right now.
Ah.
That's a good pick. Good pick. Good pick. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. So my next pick, I am gonna go ahead and take a recent movie off the list. I'm taking Guy Ritchie's The Covenant off the list. I enjoyed this film. Covenant deals with a group of military guys that are their jobs are pretty much to hunt down and take down IED plants. They have a translator, and the translators are usually people who turned away from their country to help out the United States in return to getting visas to come to the United States for protection. Pretty much these guys go on a IED trip, and they do find a plant, but in the process the whole unit's pretty much wiped out, and on top of it it's only Jake Gyllenhaal's character and their interpreter, and pretty much the interpreter has to carry him all the way back to the station for protection. And then he becomes, of course, Jake Gyllenhaal's character gets shipped back off to America while the interpreter is still trying to hide from the Taliban because he's on the top 10 most wanted list. So it's a great movie from beginning to end. It's very intense, very action-packed. It does tell a great story. On top of it, it really shows us the dark side of that war. And even though there were people who helped us, they were killed. And especially after we withdrew most of our soldiers out of Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those interpreters, anybody who aided the United States, were killed. So it's a very dark story, but it is a great story from Jake Gyllenhaal. Elmer knows I'm not a big Jake Gyllenhaal fan, so it's new for me to go with it. But I'm taking The Covenant off. And the sad thing is, I just watched that movie last night, so don't judge me. This is my first time, but it was a great movie. Next one's my all-time favorite. Pat, you want to do the famous chant he does over the radio? Oh, come on.
Is it good morning?
I love how it cuts out right when you yelled into the mic.
Good. I was hoping it wouldn't pick anything up there anyway.
Warning.
Oh.
Patrick's about to yell. No.
Warning, here's maybe death.
This is by far my favorite Robin Williams film of all time. It is over Mrs. Doubtfire for me. It is over a lot of things. And the reason is because it does show his comedy chops. It does show how he can improvise on the fly. But not only that, it's a very serious film. And it shows you the dark side of war, and especially with us starting in Vietnam. It is a very great tale to tell, and especially from Ron Williams' eyes, that war isn't all what it seems to be. But not only that, the guys do look up to him, even though he's not fighting in the war. One of my favorite scenes, and Pat knows it when we covered it, is when the trucks are around him. And he was giving up on radio, talk show hosts, everything. And then he finally came up and lightened the spirits of them. I also love Forrest Whitaker in this film, especially the bike scene where he can't drive a bike and almost gets killed by a truck. And
Yeah.
This is a great movie overall. Good Morning Vietnam, Pat knows this and Hacksaw Ridge made my top 10 movies on an island for a reason. So I'm going with Good Morning Vietnam as my fourth. So we turn it back over to Elmer for his fourth pick.
And my fourth pick is going to be Inglorious Bastards.
Yeah, there you go. This night, Pat.
Yes. Directed by Quentin Tarantino, one of the goats out there right now doing it. Starring Brad Pitt, Christopher Waltz, like great performances again. Hans Landa is one of the greatest villains ever to be portrayed.
That's a bingo.
Yeah.
You Hunter? That's just a name that stuck.
Even though this is just World War II fan fiction, but you know,
it's great.
it's a great movie. The
I'll
end that,
yeah.
But yeah, like this movie, it was just the way he captured like the tension in the beginning of the film, like
it's one of the best opening scenes of all.
Oh my god! Like
dude,
you're just hooked
first
after
scene
that.
is amazing, dude.
Yeah, you're just like ready for the rest of the film.
It sets the tone of the movie for sure.
Yeah, perfectly. Yeah, for sure.
Oh wow, Shoshana! Like he lets her go, and then like when they're having was it breakfast or lunch at that place, and they're talking, it's like, do you think he knows? And I mean, his character is so manipulative and so calculative. You know, it's yeah, that's a great pick. He was going to be one of my picks. So he struck back on me, man.
Yes.
That bar scene. What do you think about that? A bar scene too.
Oh my god, Michael Fassbender, like yo, dude, like, he was like so great in it.
Fassbender, man.
Yeah.
Him and Michael Myers being in it.
Yeah, Michael Myers being in it on all that prosthetic makeup.
Yeah. The balls and the globe. Why don't you be a good shot? The balls and the globe.
Yeah.
The hard one for me is for any Office fans out there, Ryan from The Office.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sitting there just like, dude, that's just Ryan from The Office. What the hell?
Scott Herman.
Like, hey, that kind of took me out for a minute, but I was like, all right, I'll let it pass.
I just look at him just like, why? Well, why does he have to be there of all people? BJ Novak of all people.
Yeah. Hey.
But
yeah. And then Till Schweiger as Hugo
man. Oh, Hugo.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
He was great in that. Eli Roth.
Bear Jew.
The Bear Jew.
All right. So got two back to back.
Man, that just kind of messed my stuff up a little bit right there.
Good.
I'm really gonna have to pedal back. I'm just gonna have to throw this one already in here. I'm going with Pearl Harbor.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
You had like two blockbuster like war films on there, like the Patriot. That's awesome though. That's awesome.
I hate the love story factor in it. That's fine. It's basically War and Titanic.
Yeah, that's more cringier than watching Padme and Anakin Skywalker in the prequel series.
Ships do sink.
God.
No, but Pearl Harbor, it's great. I'm a big Ben Affleck fan. I know a lot of people aren't, but who doesn't like Ben Affleck, man? Josh Hartnett's not too bad, but another star-studded cast.
Yeah.
In general. Isn't Tom Sizemore in this movie as well?
Yes, he is.
Yeah. He was in a lot of fucking war films.
Dude, Like,
What was it? Even Jennifer Gardner's in this film. Cuba Gooding Jr. is in this film.
uh, Amy
John Bond.
Smart's not in this, right?
Yeah, he's in, there's a lot of people in this movie. The only reason, or even Alex Baldwin is in this movie.
Oh, dude, Alec
Oh
Baldwin's
yeah.
great. Dan Aykroyd's in this.
Yeah, I forget Dan Aykroyd.
John Voight too.
John Voight. That's what I said. John Voight is
Yeah, John Voight. Yeah.
FDR.
Yeah, he's FDR in this film. This is just not a good movie. I'm sorry.
Oh, whatever, man.
I will
You
never.
know it's good. You know
That
it's
love
good.
triangle is what ruins that whole movie. If they didn't have the love triangle, I can understand it. There have been better movies who have depicted Pearl Harbor than Pearl Harbor itself. So I'm putting it out there. Michael Bay ruins movies. We will still put that out there to this very day and how much he ruins movies.
Oh
Ruined the
man.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He has ruined Transformers. He has ruined a lot of things. Granted, the Pearl Harbor scene is great. It is. The scene, the war depiction of it, everything is great. I love that they do show the Dan Aykroyd scenes because I do think that's very viable in the whole attack on Pearl Harbor, which we don't see that a lot other than Tora Tora Tora. I think they do that, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But man, I can't believe you put that as number 4 on your pick.
Yeah, well, what do you want me to do now? All right, like
I don't think you
I've
would
already
have
got,
heard
I've
me.
already.
I don't think you, Elmer, and I would have chose that one. But you know,
Yeah, well, Pearl Harbor needed some love, all right, and I think it might not be an accurate movie at all.
Pat, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is going to be Fury.
Yeah,
I love this movie. Shia LaBeouf is amazing.
I love how you just go to Shia.
Dude, Shia LaBeouf is great, dude. And then you got basically Lieutenant Aldo Rain. It's basically just the Walmart version of Lieutenant Aldo Rain from Inglorious Bastards, which is fine. It's great. I love it. John Barenthal, fantastic in this movie. Um, this movie is just good, but I think it's another underrated performance by Brad Pitt, in my opinion. I'm a big Brad Pitt fan. I just think that he gets intertwined with a lot of big name actors who are just block star names and aren't really, I guess, given their dues in being in good movies, but they really are in good movies. I mean, like Brad Pitt just won an Oscar a couple years ago for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You know,
But is it weird though to say when Brad Pitt's like in movies like this, like Fury or Mr.
mm-hmm.
and Mrs. Smith, I tend to like him more.
Mm-hmm.
And when he's in big name movies like Ocean's 11 and Moneyball, I'll even put it out there because Billy Bean sucks. Anyway, for my sports fans out there, yes, I know Patrick's already shaking his head, but like even Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I never really liked his role. I didn't really care for his role at all in that movie. Like
Yeah.
for him to win an Oscar for it, I was kind of like, I'm sorry, I can never take him.
Really? You don't like him as Cliff Booth and
Well, I'm sorry. When he beats Bruce Lee, there's a problem with that. Like I'll even put it out there for
It was a tie. It was a tie. It was a tie. First of all, it was a tie, sir. It was a tie.
it got to that point.
And you know,
Oh,
it's believable. It's believable. This guy let's not act like Bruce Lee was undefeated in his life.
hey, Burt Ward, you're a god, man. The OG Robin beat Bruce Lee in his first.
Oh man.
But all right, so Elmer goes to his 5th pick.
Coming in my 5th pick is going to be Casualties of War, directed by Brian De Palma, starring Michael J. Fox, Sean Penn. And it's a Vietnam story based on a true story of a sergeant and his lieutenant who pretty much kidnapped the girl from her village to be his troops' sex slave and all this stuff. It's a very intense film. And I had to see this when I was like a preteen, so it really stuck out to me how honest this film was, and like the way the events, because it's based on a true story, the way they handle the material and the actors behind it too. John Leguizamo is also in this, and it's just it's one of those films that again shows you the ugly side of war and what those men in Vietnam, especially because Vietnam, man, like if you guys know, like Vietnam was like a lot of crazy shit was happening to these soldiers over there, and like stuff like that really fucks with a person's mind, and like it hasn't really been addressed, like how the government pretty much abandoned them when they came back home. Some of them were addicted to the drugs that they were taking over there. Some of them were like just having like real guilt for the shit that they had to do while they were over there and stuff like that. And this film, I feel, really captures like how your like the test of your like your morals come in play at certain situations. And like I always, I see Michael J. Fox as like a perfect example of what a soldier should be. From that movie is based on that Michael J. Fox character.
You bring up a good point too, because all Vietnam movies, and I was watching a documentary a while back, but it did state World War II and World War One kind of explores the adventures of the war, right? We know there's dark parts of the war, but it's mostly people remember it for all the major battles there were, right? Vietnam is the first time we've ever seen movies really explore not just the battle side of it, but also the psychological side. And both Casualties of War and Platoon, I think, are great examples of that. And Full Metal Jacket's another great one too, where they just explore what it does to be a soldier, like you said, in that role. So I agree with you 110% there. No, that's a great pick. It was on my list, but it was lower, like as a backup pick for me, just in case.
Yeah.
Unless another pick got taken. So I'm taking two easy ones for sure. My first one's going to be the only World War One movie making it on my list. It is 1917. This is
Nice.
you know it's gonna make my list because Sam Mendes.
Yeah, I thought about picking it too. I just wasn't gonna take it right away.
You
But
know I'm a big Road to Perdition fan. So Sam Mendes, anytime that dude makes a movie, I'm watching it 110%. And 1917 is just well done. It is well shot. The scenes in it, the plane going through the barn is amazing how it does it. The trench scenes, just going through battle, everything. Another star-studded cast, even though they're mostly cameos. Benedict Cumberbatch is in this. Mark Strong is in this movie. Colin Firth. The list can go on and on. This is just a great movie from beginning to end. It's one of the World War One movies I can truly just sit there and watch and not stop. It keeps you on your toes. It's suspenseful. You don't know what's going to happen. And it's a great film for that. My next one is probably the most historically accurate film on my list. Even though there was a white truck spotted in the background of the scene, according to my co-host on the Comic Talker side, going with Gettysburg. Gettysburg is going on my list. Probably the most accurate and longest film probably on this list, other than Pearl Harbor. Is just well done. Star-studded cast again. Martin Sheen, Tom Berenger's in this film. Jeff Daniels, who plays my favorite colonel that I love learning about, Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain. Just a well put together movie about one of the most important battles in Civil War history. I will always say Martin Sheen did 10 times better as Robert E. Lee compared to Robert Duvall in Gods and Generals, the predecessor to it. That was bad. It's just a great film shot from beginning to end. Sam Elliott's in this film. You got a lot of big name actors in this, and it's just well done. They take the time, and it's one of the only times you really get reenactors in this as well, which is amazing. So yeah, number 6 is Gettysburg. I'm turning back over to Elmer for his number 6.
And my number 6, Brandon, I think you might like this one. You probably had this on your list. Another Sam Mendes movie, Jarhead.
No.
Your hatred for Jake Gyllenhaal is that strong that you won't have that on the list?
So let me put it out there. That's where my hatred of him became, is that movie. I just did not like that movie.
The Iraq War started the whole modernization of military warfare, man. It was like what, not the first televised war, but the first war that was on a 24-hour news cycle.
Yeah, I remember when the war started, it was partially on TV.
Yeah, it was pretty much going all the time. And this movie, this movie pretty much, I know dudes like this, you know what I mean? From like the enlisted and how they're, their wives cheated on them while they were away, but they really had nobody to talk to when they were out there because everybody's just worried of dealing with their own shit or whatnot. Jake Gyllenhaal gave a good performance, like the way he, how like being there was just tearing them apart. Even I think the best part was like Jamie Foxx, how his performance in that was pretty good.
I love him as the instructor. I don't care. That was probably the only good part in that film to me that I could sit there and go.
Yeah. And at the end, like, it's like that the theme of the movie too, because these guys are trained to kill, right? And they're like, and we didn't know at the time, but the Iraq War like wasn't really like people were already getting their like battles on in there. You know what I mean? Like not a lot of these guys were seeing combat, but you have like this training, and it's not being used, and like these guys pretty much got blue balled at the end, right? That's why they started fucking fighting, fighting with each other. Peter Skarsgård, that's his name, the other actor. He was great in it also. So it shows you like what happens when you're trained to do something and you're never able to achieve it while you're on duty. It was already a trip for me to watch it in theaters.
I think I liked the training portion of it. I did enjoy that part where we do get to go in the mindset of not only a basic boot, but also a sniper. We don't really see the training of a sniper all the time.
Yeah.
But I think when they went to Iraq and that's where I think I lost all hope for it. And it was just like, okay, where are we going with this? And then it was just like, okay, I can never take Pedro Serrano from Major League seriously in that film. Comes up and he's the one in the beach chair. I'm like,
this keeps Bats warm.
What about my guy Mother's Milk, man, from The Boys? Having scorpion death battles.
Forgot about that. And then Peter Skarsgård, you got what's his face? You got Hector Hammond or Parallax.
Oh yeah, Parallax.
God. Oh man. All right, let's go to Pat for his back-to-back.
This would be my number six. My number 6. I'm gonna be going. I'm surprised it hasn't been taken. Well, maybe I don't know, but I like this movie because it's more of a psychological movie. It's got a lot of legendary actors in it. It's Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, nowhere on my list.
Yeah, I must say, like I don't know why I blanked out on that one.
Yeah, I love this movie. I think it's just got a different background for what war is. I don't think. I guess Brandon, because I don't know if you're more historical. You're more like educated on historical things, but as far as this goes, like, did anything like this happen like during that war, or I mean, is that like
so it's not uncommon? But to say this stuff like happened, this is where you really did see like special ops really come into play. It's where you do see a lot of big military groups like the Green Berets, things like that really come to fruition. But to really say like this particular mission happened, no.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, you would not be blasting music, going in to spray Agent Orange, napalm, down on enemy fire, and then go out. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. Like I can't stand Robert Duvall in this movie. Every time I watch this, and then what was it? Now they put in hockey games and everything. That whole little charge scene. I'm like, oh, if you could only watch the whole movie, you wouldn't be saying that after you watch the whole movie. Marlon Brando is freaky in this movie. This was a freaky movie for him. Because this is when he did Godfather. It was only like a year or two after Godfather.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't that long.
And then it was about a few years before he does Superman's dad. So he was just a whole spree of...
Right, isn't he Jor-El?
Huh?
Isn't he Jor-El?
Yeah, he's Superman's dad. See, we're turning into a comic book nerd. One.
Oh no, I knew that, but I was just kind of confirming. But Martin Sheen, man, like I love Martin Sheen, especially in this era. Like Badlands, dude. I just watched Badlands recently, and that's a great movie of his that everyone should check out. No, I like how it's kind of cool because I like Charlie Sheen, and it's kind of cool to see like his dad in a younger version. And
Mhm.
it's like, wow, it's almost like the same person. That's like, that's Gordon Bombay. Um,
No.
but, but yeah, no, Apocalypse Now. I like the movie. It's cool, and like you said, Marlon Brando, very freaky, very sadistic. Um,
Just
a complete different character compared to Godfather, right?
like just that scene alone with his face just coming out of the dark. It's just like, oh my God, that is not you, but it fits you. We'll call it a deal. All right, Pat, it's your number 7.
Number 7 is not a favorite amongst a lot. I don't know. I just feel like it doesn't get talked about as much as other war movies, but The Thin Red Line.
That's not a bad movie. That's a good movie.
I like it. It's got a pretty star-studded cast. Nick Nolte, Sean Penn, Adrian Brody. I'm pretty sure Woody Harrelson's in this as well. I don't have the cast in front of me. George Clooney, John Cusack, John C. Riley, John Travolta, Woody Harrelson. I mean, come on now.
That's
Uh,
wasn't it like there was like a movie that was similar, like that was releasing at the same time. It was like one of those things. I think that's why they got overlooked.
I think it was Saving Private Ryan because he was
It's saying Private Ryan. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
huge. Yeah,
yeah, it was '98.
Yeah, yeah,
like what was it? You haven't even have Jared Leto in this film.
yeah,
You have John C. Riley.
yeah. I remember like this. The cast was stacked in that
Yeah,
movie.
it's sad because that one was more stacked than the other, and yet the other got
Yeah,
more
Oh,
than
Tim Blake Nelson's in this.
God. I can't. I
yeah.
always tend to forget about him now. Other than
Bust drugs.
Hmm.
what was it? But yeah, Jim Caviezel is probably the one that got. He's the main character, but he's the one that steals the show in that movie.
Hmm.
I do like him,
And
and
what's crazy is he's like not that compared to everyone else that's surround him and cast wise. It's crazy because he's
but
not like
that though because he does play Jesus Christ in the Passion. He is no, but
played.
plays big roles, but he always tends to get looked over.
Uh-huh.
It's one of like he plays in one of my favorite shows on CBS or was on CBS, Person of Interest. He was the hitman that helps out
Mhm.
the techie guy, and it's just like so that was a good show with him. Why is he overlooked? But now he's gone more faith-based films, and that's where he sticks with. So you know what? That floats his boat and does good for him. Good for him.
And
But
I like how this movie shows this Pacific side of World War II.
mhm.
This isn't like your typical Europe based World War II movie. It's on the other side of the war, so it's kind of it's a different perspective. And yeah, and like I said, I think the cast really is what makes the movie, right? I would assume like
Yeah, I agree.
Roy Munson as your sergeant, like that's pretty cool. Um, I love Woody Harrelson. But yeah, anyway, Thin Red Line, that's my number 7.
All right, so we turn over to Elmer for his number 7.
My number 7 is Three Kings.
Okay.
Hey,
Eh, directed by that piece of shit, David O. Russell.
why is this David
David,
O. Russell a piece of shit? Enlighten me.
oh, there's a lot of things, a lot of things. Apparently, he doesn't treat the cast and crew all that great that George Clooney had to punch him in the face during the filming of this.
The only time I give George Clooney credit.
Yeah. Yeah, like he's I think there's another video of him just screaming on this, like she's a famous actress. She's on that Netflix show with the two old ladies. Shelly something.
I know who you're talking
Shelley
about.
Yeah,
Duvall?
they did that movie that he did with Marky Mark after this. I forgot the name. The movie he did after Three Kings, I think. It was just
I know which
Uh,
one you're talking about. I can't remember on top.
yeah,
Of
yeah, but I enjoyed this movie mostly because of the cast. They work so well together. George Clooney, Mark Wahlberg, Spike Jones,
Mhm.
Ice Cube. They're all great together. Again, it was like a look behind the scenes in the Iraq War. In the beginning of this movie, these guys are about to shoot a cow because I was like the only thing they ever gonna shoot in the war because they haven't done anything so far. They were just there, stationed at with their platoon or whatever, and not doing anything. So that movie, they were trying to find their kicks in finding this treasure. You know what I mean? So trying to find their purpose, if you will, for this war. And it showed both sides, kind of.
Mhm.
You get some sympathy for, I forgot the actor's name, but he's been in so many things. He was in the first couple seasons of Fear of the Walking Dead. Uh, Cliff Curtis. There you go, Cliff Curtis. He was great in his role. The whole scene with Mark Wahlberg getting being held hostage and being tortured, and him talking to his jailer and all that stuff. It was just a good film. I don't think I think it's pretty underrated
Mhm.
in my opinion. It's not talked about as much
Right.
as a movie. Maybe it's because they tend to go off the far side with the looking for secret treasure storyline and whatnot. But yeah, I enjoyed this film. I liked it.
So since we haven't really been going to old movies, I'm going to go to some old movies. First one's going to be from 1977. I'm going with The Bridge Too Far. This is Sean Connery, Michael Caine, Dirk Bogarde, Anthony Hopkins, Robert Redford, James Caan, Gene Hackman. The
You say
cast.
James Caan?
James Caan is in this film. He is an airborne. Yeah, he's an airborne soldier.
Mr. Henry.
Legend,
So,
James Caan.
of course, this movie is about the um, a World War II battle known as Operation Market Garden, which is known to be one of the only battles for the airborne to ever lose. This was, if they would have won, it could have ended the war a lot sooner. Fortunately, that did not happen. It is a great film because it kind of dives in not only on what happened on the front lines, but all the mistakes and all the decisions that were taking place behind the scenes. Um, Michael Caine, you will never even spot in the movie. It's like the funniest thing. It's like he actually has a mustache. And so when you see him, it's like, that can't be Michael Caine. There's no way this is Michael Caine. And you see him, it's like, oh, yeah, that is Michael Caine. Anthony Hopkins does not play a big role in this film. He's a very minor role. Robert Redford, kind of the same thing. James Caan is kind of the main American soldier that we see in this. And it's great. He's a great. I never once said I don't like James Caan. I just don't like him in certain movies, including his role in Bottle Rocket, which I love Bottle Rocket. Patrick is the one that got me into it, but that role does not fit him. I will still sit there and say that to this very day. Gene Hackman is another big role in this movie. There's a lot of big name actors in this film. It's a great war movie. It's a great World War II movie. I recommend this to anybody. Next one is kind of being on the same line of Three Kings, but it's an older movie. Going with the one, the only Kelly's Heroes from 1970, war comedy. Going with Clint
Oh wow. The
Donald.
first comedy on the list.
Oh, I had Good Morning Vietnam. I still had Good Morning Vietnam on my list, but
I don't know, that was a comedy brand.
hey, you gotta admit the radio parts are like the most comical thing that's ever come out of Robin Williams' mouth. But Kelly's Heroes. Kelly's Heroes involves Clint Eastwood. Donald Sutherland is in this film. Telly Savalas and Don Rickles. Don Rickles being my favorite role. If I imagine my one self as a soldier, that is who I imagine myself as. The snarky staff sergeant that's in charge of inventory, bored with his life and given an opportunity that he can go help and get money out of it. That is like always been me. I love Don Rickles in this film. Clint Eastwood, I hate to say it, out of all the actors in this film, Clint Eastwood is the one person to me that just does not fit this cast. And it's sad, he's the main character, but yeah, it just like Donald Sutherland as oddball. you just laugh at. It's like the one, like he's a hippie soldier who runs a tank, pretty much his own tank for little group. And it's just fun to watch him because he will blast music, and his music is actually way more fun to listen to than the ba-na-na-na-na-na, come on. Like it, it's just a fun movie. Teddy Savalas, of course, is the hard ass sergeant who is hard on his guys, everything like that. He's by the books. It's just a great movie. It is a fun movie. Whenever I'm sick or anything, this is another comfort movie I watch is Kelly's Heroes. So it's a great movie. I enjoy it. Still some serious parts in the movie, but like Elmer said, it is a comedy. So go in knowing that you're going to laugh and you're going to have fun with it. It's a good cast. And Don Rickles, Donald Sutherland, Telly Savalas, Clint Eastwood. Great cast.
Don Rickles.
Don Rickles, Mr. Potato Head himself.
Don Rickles.
Don Rickles, yeah. So I love this movie. So turn it over to Elmer for his 8th pick.
And my 8th pick is another underrated classic, in my opinion. Dead Presidents, directed by the Hughes brothers.
Yeah.
Starring Lorenz Tate, Chris Tucker, the legend Keith David, Terrence Howard. Great cast, great story, great character arc for the main character, Lorenz Tate's character, from going to a fresh-faced high school kid with so much hope, then going to Vietnam and seeing some crazy, crazy stuff there. I think it was the first time I ever seen a prosthetic penis in a movie. They had my man, was it Michael Imperioli that was in there? He was the soldier. Yeah. He went out for a piss and they found him with his penis in his mouth. Stuff. I was so shocked that they will actually show that in a movie. And I was like, this is what's going on over there? Fucking getting mutilated like that? Like, oof. Rough scene. But again, he comes back home. There's nothing really anything out there for him to do. He has to turn into a life of crime. Tries to rob a bank. Gets most of his friends killed. Another friend that he grew up with, played by Chris Tucker, Skip, gets addicted to drugs. ODs on heroin at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert. Well,
it falls in that line of it's past 20 years and you haven't watched it. There's no alert at this.
Yeah, not my fucking problem.
Yeah. Not from any movies from the 90s, especially.
All right. Turn over to Pat for his 8th and 9th picks.
My 8th pick is going to be a wild one. It's going to be, I think, one of our first sci-fi war movies. I'm going with Starship Troopers.
Oh, wow.
No, we're on my list.
Yeah, well.
Did you know there was actually like this controversy going on online about this movie at the moment?
Yes.
Oh, right now? I had no idea.
Yeah, because people are like, oh, most people don't get that. It's fucking satire. But because people it's true, because like I'm sorry, I'm just taking it, but like when I first saw it as a kid, I was like, yo, this fucking movie rules and shit like that. But like as you go older, I'm like, these guys are fucking Nazis.
Yeah.
It's not that great of a movie nowadays.
Oh, come on. It's fun. It's one of those movies that you have to watch if it's on.
I'm sorry. I cannot sit there and take Casper Van Dien as a serious actor in this film. Michael Ironside I cannot take as a serious character.
Oh, come on. The great Ironside, man.
Not.
Yeah, Michael Ironside's great. Dude, Jake Busey's in this too.
What was it? What's his face from
Clancy Brown?
How I Met, Clancy Brown.
Brown.
That's himself. But yeah, the other one, what was it? Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah.
My man Doogie Howser.
Yeah, I remember them referencing this movie in Harold and Kumar Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah.
Where he pulls them over, he's like, Starship Troopers got me through college. Like kept referencing it. I'm like, what's Starship Troopers? And I look at them, I'm like, oh, this movie rules. Is Dean Norris is in this too, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Fun fact,
Amy Smart. Amy Smart is in this as well, man.
Denise Richards
she
in this
is.
film. I'm shocked you haven't even brought up that movie yet.
Yeah, Amy Smart's more important to me. So
Oh, what
just
was the name of the other one that was in love with Rico?
Denise Richards.
No, the redhead.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. She played Oracle in the long
Yeah, and Birds of
Dina
Prey.
Meyer.
Prey.
Dana Meyer, yeah. Those co-ed showers are pretty cool.
Birds of Prey. Go check out
Yeah.
that lame series that came
No,
out.
I don't think I will, Brandon.
Come on, man. You know you as
Oh
much
man.
as us.
No, sir.
Yeah, man, I can't believe I forgot she was in that show too. And I was like, I don't know why that comes in my head first before I think of Star Trek Troopers with her in it. But
It's a fun movie.
oh, I thought you were gonna say Birds of Prey was a fun show. I'm like, hey,
Oh no.
who got you to say it? Oh man, I can't believe you chose that path.
Why you
Yeah,
chose
well,
it?
at this point, like I'm kind of like having a.
You're reaching, huh? You
I'm
got like
gotten
the
to
plan
reach a
D's
little
right
bit, dude.
now.
Yeah, because all my shit's been taken.
Yeah.
And Patrick needs to watch more old war movies because there is
Yeah,
tons more on my list.
Yeah.
clearly I do because this is the struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a
well,
big war movie that I'm shocked is not off the list yet, and it's back in the 1950s.
yeah, well, ain't
Oh,
getting
Oh,
picked. Even
oh,
Elmer's like that ain't getting picked.
I really have to be in the mood to watch movies from that era. Like I
hey,
have to be like, yo, it's gonna be like a TMC type of Sunday, you know?
hey,
Like,
once I tell
watch
you
some
the main
classics.
actor in that, you guys will watch it. I bet you money you guys would watch that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go with. It's always been a favorite of mine because I've always loved the battle scenes in it. 300. I love 300.
Ah, I was
That's a
gonna that
stretch.
was gonna
How's that a
that was gonna be like my last pick. That was
Are
like
you
my
telling
last
me
pick.
that's not a war movie?
It is,
Yeah.
but it's a Frank Miller war movie, not a.
A war movie is a war movie, my guy.
Yeah. So if it's a propaganda war movie, so what? It happens. They were doing it back then during ancient
No,
Greece.
that's called
You
Meet the
like bow
Spartans.
and arrows? Yeah.
Remember, that's called Meet the Spartans. It's the propaganda movie at this point.
You like hunchbacks?
Oh God.
You like Cersei Lannister before Cersei Lannister? Then you've come to the right place. Welcome to Sparta. No, this movie's great. I love how the movie's shot too. Very violent, very barbaric. The dead kids on the tree thing. That's kind of wild. This doesn't really hold up today.
Yeah.
Uh,
Damn Zack Snyder.
God
Did
damn it.
did you
Um,
did you hear about that theory about since this guy's narrating the movie, right? The soldier that he sends away because he's injured. He's pretty much telling us the story, and people were saying there's a theory going around saying that, of course, he has because people were like kind of making a noise about like how the people from was that Iraq or yeah, it was pretty much Iraq or
Know what you're
before it
talking.
was called Iraq.
Hmm.
Yeah, but then like how they were portrayed like freaks and like with axes for hands and weird shit like that. And the guy they were saying like it's pretty much from this guy's point of view, this Spartan soldier that sees the enemy as these monsters or whatnot. So of course they're gonna be shown that way in the movie. And I was like, oh, it makes sense now because I'm like, like the fucking the immortals and all that shit. Like, it's totally like somebody exaggerating shit, like that one friend that just making shit up or something.
you what do you guys think about Gerard Butler in this movie?
I think I enjoyed his performance here, man. I thought he would have been like a bigger star off of this performance. I think,
You think so?
like action star wise, at least.
It's sad though because every movie that you and it's not just me because I thought the same thing as you. I thought Gerard Butler this would be like his big push, and every movie that he's been in action wise is always like he's plays a great role, but he's not pushed to that stardom. Like you have him in what was it the other one he did? Law Abiding Citizen.
That's a
Yeah.
great movie.
Yeah.
I liked him. I know this was a controversial movie when it came out too. Olympus Has Fallen. I thought was great as him as a secret agent or secret service agent. I enjoyed that, but I there's just all these movies are great, and then it gets to a point where it's like, and nobody cares anymore because
Yeah.
he's just has always been like all these other roles, kind of like Robert Downey Jr. You get him in these roles. What is he afterwards when he plays something different? He's nothing.
I think Robert Downey Jr. in Natural Born Killers is one of the most slept on roles of his.
I was about to say, if you say Doolittle, I swear I was gonna reach across this camera.
Well, no, dude, I just like him as the Australian news guy. Like that's so out of pocket, and it's
I'm
Tony.
shocked you didn't put Weird Science up there because he's the bully in Weird Science. People
Well,
forget
isn't he a crack addict in a movie too?
in that movie. That
Well, no, not in that movie, but there is a movie where he is a crack addict,
yeah,
and not real life. This is like a movie he did.
yeah, it's called U.S. Marshal because he acted like a crack addict the whole time in that movie. But
U.S. Marshal with Tommy Lee Jones.
yeah, he's in Tommy Lee Jones. Yeah, he's in that movie.
I did not know that.
Mhm.
I'll check that out now. I'm intrigued.
So now we turn to Elmer for his 9th pick. Your second to last pick, Elmer. Don't snipe another one from me, please. You've already.
And I'm going international with this one, guys, and I'm going with Bravehearts.
Oh,
Ooh,
Directed by Mel Gibson, thinking outside the box here. Got Brian Cox is in this.
of course he is.
Great performance, even though he was there for a short time. Brendan Gleeson also great performance. My man Steven for the Irishman, the crazy Irishman that shows up. Another favorite character of mine, even though the movie wasn't 100% accurate. Kilts weren't invented back then at the time, so the whole ass shots of these guys showing their asses to the British soldiers didn't happen. But yeah, this movie, like the way, I don't know, like it was so elegant at times, but then when it got brutal, it was fucking brutal.
Yeah.
Like people getting their throat slashed. This dude, like I still remember the scene when Mel Gibson comes down and just caves this guy's face in with that mace, like while he's sleeping, and I'm like, wow, his death scene at the end, William Wallace's death scene, him getting ripped open while he's still alive, stuff like that. That movie, as a 15-year-old kid, I was just like fascinated by that fucking movie so much. I loved it so much growing up.
Right. So, that 1957 movie I was talking about? It is going to be picked up on my list because for war movie fans, if we don't put this on our list, we are going to get ripped to shreds. But knowing out of me and Pat, I'm the older guy that loves the older movies, or I grew up on the older movies. I'm going with The Bridge on the River Kwai.
Oh, wow.
I'm gonna get it out right. Alec Guinness. And if anybody does not know who he is, how dare you if you call yourself a nerd, because he is the original Obi-Wan Kenobi or Ben. This is by far one of the best war films. It is in AFI's top 100 movies of all time for good reasons. And two, I have an obsession with bridges. I have A Bridge Too Far, and I have The Bridge on the River Kwai. Not the reason I chose this movie, but still, it was just. Anyway, the Bridge.
Like Bridge to Terabithia too, probably, right?
That's not even a war movie. That's just a fantasy film. Okay, I'm putting it out there. That is not a.
That's just so.
It's a fantasy film. It's not a war film, but it's about pretty much British W's being arrested, and they are forced to actually build a railway bridge across the River Kwai for their Japanese captors. And then at the end of the movie, they do try to double cross and actually take it out. This is a great movie. Alec Guinness is great in this film. It's one of my favorite Alec Guinness movies. Over even Obi-Wan. Sorry, putting it out there. River Kwai is great. And you know that, Elmer. I'm a huge Star Wars guy. Pat knows I'm a huge Star Wars guy. But Alec Guinness,
blasphemy.
It's just great in The Bridge of the River on the River Kwai. It's just a great role for him. My last one is also going foreign, and I am going with Enemy at the Gates.
Ooh. I thought about that, and I was like, nah. But yeah, that's a good
Better
pick.
than Starship Troopers and 300.
I think you're just mad at this point. You
No,
actually didn't
just
think of a
when
great.
you go put
Pat had all the blockbuster war movies on his list.
Yeah, what are you
I
talking about?
respect
Yeah,
that.
like
Yeah.
but
I'm
He had the
sorry you
people
didn't think
pleasing.
of Starship Troopers first. All
yeah,
right, you're
Starship,
just trying to pin this on me for not. Yeah, whatever.
Starship Troopers wasn't even near on my list. That's how bad I don't look at that movie. Every time I watch that movie, I think the same thing. It's like, oh, we're pretty much the bad guys in the process of, we look at them as the bad people.
I think you need to be more like Elmer and be a little bit more optimistic about my picks. You
I
know,
was at first. When you chose Platoon and All Quiet on the Western Front, I was. Then you
we're
go,
off to a hot start, right? And then we just
Yeah.
picked up from there, right? And we
oh,
got Starship Troopers
let's
and
put it this way.
300.
You went up high,
Yeah,
down low, and then up high again when you chose Fury and Apocalypse Now. I was like, okay, he's getting back out there. Thin Red Line, okay, you're still there. And then Starship Troopers.
yeah.
All the way down.
Roller coaster of
I mean,
love.
most of his picks were getting like vultured, man. Like he didn't have a choice. He had to
Survive.
go. He had to go
Much
in the
like in
bin.
war, much like in war, you have to survive. And I
So-
do what I do.
so-
Had to climb in my trenches.
But just like in that, and that's a good way to put it, Enemy at the Gates starts us off in Stalingrad. Now, this is a very important battle in World War II, especially with the Russians and Nazi Germany. Jude Law, who plays Vasil Zaisev, hopefully I've pronounced that correctly, is a normal soldier and is become known as a hero by taking out so many officers. And that was pretty big during that time frame, is because anybody who was willing to do stuff like that was put as a propaganda tool. That's how they used it, as heroes. And Vasil Zaisev was one. But it did intrigue the Germans to take another sniper, one of their best snipers, and try to hunt him down the process. And that is played by Ed Harris, known as Erwin Koenig. This is, other than that role here and History of Violence, this is two of his creepiest roles to me, still to this very day. Rachel Weisz is in this film. Bob Haskins is in this film. Ron Perlman is in this film. Yes, everybody loves Hellboy. Go check this movie out. It's great. But this is probably my favorite Jude Law film other than Road to Perdition. I think this is a great film for him. As I said, Rachel Weisz, any movie with her in it, I tend to watch. But yeah, Enemy at the Gates, great movie. It's my last pick. So I turn it back over to Elmer for his last pick.
My last pick, since Patrick took 300. I'm sorry I didn't get Brandon's disappointment, but I actually have an old movie from 1963, actually, Brandon. So, I had to break it out the vault because, I had no other choice. The Great Escape.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
That was one that was on my almost made my list.
Yes. Back in the day, growing up, they used to play this on Channel 11, where I'm from, New York. Pretty much Sunday mornings, Sunday afternoons, that around that type of time. And Steve McQueen as the lead, charismatic as fuck lead man. You also had Charles Bronson, Death Wish on here, bunch of heavy hitters. James Gardner.
Gardner, yeah, I know.
Who else? James Corborn. The doctor from Halloween, the psychiatrist from Halloween. David Pleasence.
Yes, yeah, I know exactly. Yeah.
So it's the stories about a bunch of POWs in a German prisoner camp, trying to escape, trying to get the Germans' attention, focused on the prisoners that escaped, trying to draw like the forces away from the war. Great movie, great action scene. I love the fact that was mentioned in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah,
and I love the memes of people playing that scene side to side with Steve McQueen's original scene. Like it's a great scene. Like that's the only actor I think is cooler than Leonardo DiCaprio in that moment. I was like, yeah, Steve McQueen definitely did it better than Leo in that scene. But and you can see Leo trying his hardest, but he couldn't get to the level of cool that Steve McQueen had in that movie. I was the motorcycle scene. Everything about this movie was like, it was a good, fun movie to me. For Like to me, it's like that had like that Ocean's 11 type of vibe to it. So yeah,
It's a good movie. I'm glad it made our list. That was one that I hated leaving off, but it's a good. I'm glad you pulled out the vault to see.
Yeah, had to break the glass.
So instead of pulling out the vault, see if Patrick can pull one last pick out of his ass. No.
I am actually going to pick one last pick out of my ass.
Brandon be's feisty today.
I am
He
feisty.
is, right? He's very, I would
Sassy.
say, he's
Swear to God, if you choose Star Trek 2, the Wrath on, I'm gonna get pissed.
My
number 10 is going to be Small Soldiers, and I'll tell you why.
Oh no way! Oh, you had me for a moment there, Pat. You had me for a moment.
One of the best war movies of all time.
Saying Toy Story is a war film. Are you seriously gonna?
I mean, if that's how you want to interpret. No, so I have one more pick, right? This is my last pick.
Yes.
That's big.
I am going to be going from the vault as well, and I think this is going to end me on a slight high. I'm going to go with the Deer Hunter.
Okay.
Oh, nice. Yes. Shame on us for not mentioning our list.
You know what? I was cringing at the last couple picks. I'm like, fuck, if this gets picked, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Hard one though, because it's just like that. And when you look at movies that were left off, like Schindler's List and stuff like that, it's one of those movies that's hard to watch. And Deer Hunter is a great movie, just a very hard movie to watch.
Yeah.
So why make it in your number 10?
I mean, I wouldn't say. I think I kind of forgot about it. I'm going to be honest. Obviously, Starship Troopers and 300. If I had to re-rank movies, was
yeah.
At the end of the day, we still picked it up. Didn't Tom Brady get drafted in the 7th round? Look at that.
But you're not making a case for yourself, right?
You would have had it if you would have pulled that off right after Apocalypse Now.
People are gonna bash you for taking Starship Troopers over Deer Hunter.
No, they're gonna look and be like, "This guy has taste."
Yeah.
Kelly's Heroes was kind of the odd one for me, but hell, that's better than Starship Troopers and 300. I'm sorry, I'm putting it out there.
If Deer Hunter was taken, Pat was gonna go with Infinity War, I think.
Just have war in the name. I would have been that desperate. Too.
There you go.
Thanos versus everybody. We call that a war.
Yeah.
No, but I love Christopher Walken in this movie. I think he really shows his acting chops in this movie. Same thing with Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro with the beard looks pretty cool. Different.
Why does he keep the beard? Like that is like the one thing that shocks me to this very day.
Meryl Streep is also in this, which I think her and John Cazale were actually going out, and this is John Cazale's last movie before he died because he was sick in the middle of during this movie, and what's funny is with John Cazale, he was only in like 5 or 6 movies, and each movie he was in got nominated for either
Oscars,
or it won an Oscar.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Here's the real question: who did win an Oscar for this? It was their very first Oscar win. That should give you a clue. Because actor or actress actually got pretty well known for how many Oscars they have won.
I'm going to go ahead and say Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep did win her first Oscar with this role as Best Supporting Actress.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, she's great in this movie. I like her and Robert De Niro's chemistry in this movie.
Yeah.
And this is like the first movie where like you said, it's hard to watch because of the POW scenes, right? I mean, the Russian roulette scene's wild. I mean, especially with how the movie ends and everything. Yeah, it's definitely not for the faint at heart, but I think I'm glad everyone else slept on it, and I got to kind of swoop in on the very last pick. So, no, The Deer Hunter is a good movie. It's a long one too. 3 hours. It's just over 3 hours is what the running time says. But
So let's put it out there. Are there movies that we were shocked were not picked up? Because I can name a few right now, with Dunkirk being one of them.
yeah, Dunkirk.
Yeah, Dunkirk. Yeah,
Dunkirk wasn't. What are the other ones? The Dirty Dozen was another big one that I was
yeah,
shocked nobody chose.
Now, I was also thinking too, is like movies that evolved around war, right? I know we didn't really get into a whole lot of movies. Like Schindler's List is probably a good example of that. Boy in the Striped Pajamas would be another one that sticks out to me. Um,
Even The Pianist and Life is Beautiful.
Pianist. Yep.
Great two movies around.
Pianist's a great movie. Yeah.
Pianist is it's the only good role I've ever enjoyed Adrian Brody in, other than Angels in the Outfield. Now, Elmer, were there ones that you were shocked did not make the list or anybody's list?
not like Dunkirk. Really, was probably like, oh, like yeah. I mean, I haven't seen it, so that's why I wasn't really on my list. Yeah, man. Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, it's to the point to me right now. I'm pretty much done with the World War II movies. Like, I get it. Like, I get it. I get the point.
Yeah.
I get it.
You want me to tell you another one that I'm shocked didn't make Pat's list for how much he said he liked this movie? Oppenheimer.
Well, I was just about to say, I knew you took
Uh,
the words right out of my mouth. I was just about to say Oppenheimer, man. That's yeah, that's a good movie. Definitely a ball. It's not war. It's not a war movie, but it definitely it ended the war. So
yeah,
Another
it was
big
a
one
war
too.
ender for sure.
And then the other big one too was the Hurt Locker. That was a big.
Oh yeah, yeah. Hurt Locker. I was surprised. I was actually thinking about Hurt Locker. Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Like,
I
I
probably
don't
just
like
had like
Jeremy
too many
Renner in that
instruments.
film. It's hard for me to watch him in that film and think of him there, and then think of him as Hawkeye is more by the
Yeah.
book detail. And I'm like, no.
Yo, Jeremy Reiner, I've been messing with that dude since he played Dahmer,
Yeah,
or like in one of his earliest roles. He played Jeffrey Dahmer.
God.
He was also on a pretty good cop show on ABC before it got canceled after like a few episodes.
I know which one you're talking about. I remember watching this too, and
Yeah,
it's very long.
interesting concept, but you know.
Thank you. This is a great podcast, you guys. I think it's a fun one to end it on. Thank you, Elmer, for joining us. Tell the fans where they can find you.
All right, you can check us out on the Pulling These podcasts. Is on most podcast apps, Spotify, iTunes. What else? What else? You can check out the socials, Facebook at Pulling These Pod. Everywhere else is just at Pulling These, TikTok, all that good stuff. And yeah, we have a website, but we haven't updated in a while. That's gonna be, something we're still working on. But yeah, guys, we're gonna have more skits, more YouTube videos are also coming out. Check out our YouTube channel, Pulling These. And thanks for having me on here, guys. I really appreciate it. It was always fun being on here with you guys.
absolutely,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
And fans, we've been on Elmer's podcast as well. We've had fun times with him. We want to thank you again, Elmer, for coming on. Fans, check us out on all social medias, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at Just for Flicks. Also, check us out on Spotify. Patty B, take us out.
Yeah, thank you guys for everything. This was a fun one. War. Thank you for going to war with me. Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming into my foxhole. All right. I'm Patty B, and remember, we do it just for flicks.